For anybody that still believes the lies, well, here you go.
Just joined. A bigot, a racist, a problem.
Would you repudiate David Duke?
Sure.
David Duke and robocalls are out again, the white supremacist movement supporting you. Do you have any words for that?
Well, I disavow. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow. Okay?
When we looked at it and looked at the question, I disavowed David Duke. So I've disavowed David Duke all weekend long on Facebook, on Twitter, and obviously it's never enough.
So are you prepared right now to make a clear and unequivocal statement renouncing the support of all white supremacists?
Of course I am. Of course I am.
When Chris joined, we had a news conference, and they asked me the exact same question. I said, I disavow. I disavowed then. I disavowed today on ABC with George Stephanopoulos. I disavowed again.
David Duke is a bad person who I disavowed on numerous occasions over the years.
I totally disavow the Ku Klux Klan. I totally disavow David Duke. Ultimately, he got to the Ku Klux Klan, which obviously I'm going to disavow. I've rejected David Duke. I've rejected the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan.
David Duke is saying to his supporters and followers, vote for Donald Trump. White supremacists are saying, vote. Do you want those votes?
No, I don't want them, and I don't want him to say it.
And you don't want the supporters?
No, I don't want anything.
What do you think of white supremacists, by the way?
I don't like any group of hate.
David Duke announced his Senate candidacy, claiming your agenda.
Are you ready before you ask the question?
Newt Gingrich said every Republican should repudiate this guy no matter what it takes.
And I do. Rebuked. Is that okay? Rebuked.
Done.
Do you want white supremacists to vote for you?
No, I don't at all. Not at all.
His campaign is denouncing a show of support from the KKK's official newspaper, as in the Ku Klux Klan.
In the same New York Times interview, he denounced white supremacists. He denounced the neo-Nazis who support him.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. I spoke out forcefully against hatred, bigotry, and violence, and strongly condemned the neo-Nazis, the white supremacists.
I remember also when Congress took up the issue at President Obama's suggestion of Dreamers. Remember the Dreamers Act? Congress wouldn't pass it. Dreamers are children brought to the United States of America illegally by their parents who've come here illegally. But the children are children. They don't know better. President Obama proposed the Dreamers Act. Congress didn't pass it. So President Obama just ignored the law. He protected them from deportation through executive action. It's called the 2012 Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Program. He broke the law. Nobody around here foamed at the mouth. Nobody around here went catatonic, included but not limited to the media. I remember when President Biden did a very similar thing. He sought to preserve and fortify DACA, as we call it. And he also took a number of steps unilaterally to weaken immigration enforcement. We know that. That's why the border under President Biden was an open bleeding wound. He refused to follow the law. Nobody foamed at the mouth around here.
The next time someone says something negative about Donald Trump, show them this video.
Trump saved my life, literally. My dad and my mom passed at the same time. I was in a bad place. I was going towards the Brooklyn Bridge. Don't ask me why, but I was. Donald Trump was standing on 97th Street in Broadway. He was at a friend's birthday party. And when he saw me coming past, I was hysterical and teared. And he gently grabbed my arm. He was like, whoa, wait a minute, are you okay? And he said, well, I don't know what you're gonna do right now, but whatever it is, forget about it. Take it out of your head. Your mom and dad wouldn't want that. And he talked to me till I forgot all about what I was gonna do. So he said, let me pray for you. So when I went to get my keys out of my pocket, and I opened my hand, he had placed a folded up, real small, folded up $100 bill in my hand. I framed it, literally, and this is a true story. He saved my life. Yeah, he did. So anybody that has anything bad to say about Trump, laughed at it because he's a good man.
That's something else. What a story. And you hear stories about him like that all the time, too. You don't hear those stories about Obama, Hillary, Joe Biden.
Shout out to Tim Pool because he definitely makes a great point here.
You say the left is a cult.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the whole of the left. Let's be fair. I can do the same thing with the right. And I can say, look, they're completely insane. Look at these nutbags on Twitter.
You'd be wrong.
Really?
How is it that the popular vote winner, Donald Trump, was a Democrat? Tulsi Gabbard, DNI, former Democrat that I supported in 2020. And now the Republican MAGA movement, not the neocons, is an eclectic bunch of diverse views which debate each other. Charlie Kirk, Christian conservative, invites moderate pro-choice Tim Pool onto his stage to discuss those views to the public. On the left, what do you think would happen if you went and opposed their views at a public forum? You'd be threatened with violence. Booking liberals to come on my show or any other show, people in this
We
space,
have the same problem.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk.
I can sit in front of a libertarian like Dave Smith and Charlie Kirk at the same time, and we leave with beers in our hands, smiles on our faces. And Dave will say, Charlie, I really do appreciate it. I think you do good work. I know we disagree. The left doesn't do that. They firebomb your buildings. You could not define what they believe.
I see this
It's
a lot
impossible.
with Bobby Kennedy. The people who attack him, they pick on the 5 goofiest things they can find that they think he said. You know, he blamed the Wi-Fi for this, or he said something about whatever, the COVID targeting certain genetics and not other genetics. And it's like, look, even if I grant you there are these 5 claims, which I don't know, but they're trying to remove the central thing that he said. The central thing that Bobby Kennedy said is that we spend more money than any other country on healthcare and we're the sickest.
Exactly.
Now, until you can take on that, you're never going to win by just trying to knock out these other good, because at least he's talking about the major thing. And by the way, not only did he say that, none of you have ever mentioned that.
Ever.
I've watched every presidential campaign. It's never once come up.
Well, and in fact, everything they do mention is a way to avoid mentioning.
Exactly.
So now they're throwing around the word misinformation. Well, was we misinformed when we heard what we heard directly from her mouth?
And the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750.
And was we also misinformed when the director of FEMA, Mayorkas, came out and said what he said? Or did he misspeak?
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
Now, since y'all want to say everything is so misinformation and misinformed, I just have a few questions. That's it. Is the critical needs payout of $750 only a one-time payout per household, not per person, and you would need to qualify, which also indicates that you may be denied? Just asking. I have another question. Did FEMA not designate funding of over $1 billion for an illegal migrant program called Shelter in Place in 2023 and 2024? Another question that I may be misinformed about. Did FEMA not designate funding of about $685 billion for illegal migrants in an emergency food and shelter program under this administration? I have another question, because we the people, we want to know. We don't want to be misinformed. Did the House and Senate, including Republicans, not pass a continuing appropriation bill, H.R. 9747, which provides more funding, but the disaster fund is still deficient, according to Mayorkas, because of mismanagement and possibly overspending? You know, that's the bill that y'all are running around and saying that the Republicans shot down or didn't pass. H.R. 9747. Go find it on congress.gov. Wait a minute, I thought of another one, because this may be the one that is misinformation. This is the one. Was there not testimony before the House Budget Committee estimating Americans paying over $150 billion annually to support illegal immigration? No, I got it. It's this one that's misinformed. It's this one. Have they not sent over $64 billion and counting to fund the Ukraine war? Dang, I forgot about this one too. I got a question about this one as well. This one probably is misinformed as well. Did they not send over $17 billion in aid to Israel since last October? And for my last misinformed, definitely with this one. Did she not tweet a couple of days afterwards that she was deeply concerned about the security and well-being of the citizens of Lebanon and pledged a total of $157 million and bringing the support total of $385 million totally. It gotta be that one. And if you didn't catch what I said earlier, they're funding Israel and Lebanon, which Israel struck Lebanon. Just think about it.
So if I murdered you at 6 months, that's okay?
Yes.
There's a process where a zygote then becomes what you would call a fetus or a baby, and then it forms all the way in to an infant. Human development starts at a moment. We believe that the earliest moment of human development is worthy of protection. So I would ask you, when does human life begin?
Well, I mean, so if you're, what do you mean? Like, are you talking about like?
When did your life begin?
So my life, in what sense? Do you mean like, literally define life, like right now?
When did your life become worthy of protection?
In what sense? Are you talking about the metabolic?
I just did. And when did your life become worthy of protection?
When I became actually conscious and able to speak.
So like, able to speak, so like 2 years old.
I think I was a bit earlier than that, yeah.
No, babies usually don't speak till about year and a half. So if I murdered you at 6 months, that's okay?
Yes.
And you're a bio student at UC Riverside?
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Would you save 100 dogs' lives or one human life?
So I would save one dog over your life, but...
No, tell me why a human... and we'll close with this. The fact that he's a bio student at this university shows the horrifying moral rot happening in higher education, and Trump should defund all these schools as evidence. You got punched in the face by a professor here. What happened?
So I was walking to Valhalla to get my food exchanged, and PhD student Patrick Mahoney, as well as his accomplice Gerald Hoff, did not like the hat I was wearing. When my head was down, remember, I made zero eye contact with him. He saw my hat, he ripped the hat off my head, crumbled it. He charged at me. I had to stand, my ground, and then also Gerald Hoff also came at me too. Gerald grabbed my leg. I was falling down. Patrick grabbed my chest, slammed it on the road pavement. Then he grabbed my head and also slammed it on the road pavement as hell.
If a conservative professor would have hunted down a Kamala Harris wearing student, it would have been a hate crime and the #1 news story in the country. Now we can barely get attention for a young man who was punched by a professor here at Washington State University. They're the ones dividing the country. We're the ones trying to heal.
There's a point I'm making with this, Rob, if you want to play this. This is in a 2000 hearing that took place.
About like real
He's in
estate
court,
stuff?
stand against a senator demanding an apology. Watch this. Go for it.
You have a long way to go. And for whatever reason, you have a closed mind. I don't know why. Perhaps you could tell me.
Against evidence that is not substantiated. I have a closed mind against statements that are made about other people in general.
You're going to be very embarrassed in 2 years, sir.
You go on a radio show and you say, now some drunken Indians want to come down here and open a residence.
I didn't say that, sir. Quote it. I didn't say that. Who said that? Who said that? I'd like an apology right now because I didn't say that.
Excuse me, Mr. Imus.
Excuse me, Mr. Imus.
Okay, could I please have an apology?
You can have an apology.
Thank you, sir.
Boom. But watch what happened right there. What happened? What's the moral of the story, Rob? We can play that. Stop.
Apologize and moved on.
That's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How long did it take?
Half a second.
Maybe.
And he called him sir. Thank you, sir.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Moved on. So I think we need to go into that.
Yes.
Thank you, move on, boom. Instead of, no, but da-da-da-da-da. We're not going to make progress there.
Now, this is 1,000% on point. Check it out.
MAGA isn't Republican and it isn't Democrat. It is a movement. It is an awakening. It is people that were left behind, sick and tired of, being taken advantage of and being extracted. And a lot of people during 2016 through 2021, and then with COVID, and then this election, there's a mix of people that were just fed up with everything that the government was doing because the government lets us down. We hired these people to do stuff for us, to serve us, and they just got richer and richer, from NGOs to government circling back money. This is why there's a MAGA movement. I know the people on the left, you guys hate the MAGA movement. You hate it. You hate it, and you ask someone why, and all they say is you're racist. And it's not, because you obviously have never ever actually been to a rally then, because my wife, being an immigrant, saw every different race, every different gender, gays, lesbians, moms for Trump, and all this kind of stuff. It's a massive awakening moment for Democrats and Republicans that were in that middle that were forgotten about. And then there's just too far left radicalism, which is the current Democrat Party. And then you got this extreme right, I guess, but I don't believe that MAGA is right, really. I think they're more libertarian, and they are just sick and tired of government.
If they were up to
altogether.
nothing illegal, why would they try to delete a bunch of files? I'm just asking.
Just a few hours after we got into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over 1 terabyte of accounting records from several years. So you'd have to ask the question, well, why would somebody do that? The Doge team, fortunately, was able to recover that data with the help of a few great employees at the Institute of Peace. And I think the most troubling thing was they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight. And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and the private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these smaller agencies. And this is, I think, the most extreme case of some of the wasteful spend that we're finding.
So the agencies are hiding money from you. They're sending it to the Taliban. They have loaded weapons in the department buildings.
At the Institute of Peace.
At the Institute of Peace.
Yes. That's right.
So this is a cover-up when you guys roll in.
This one, yes, a cover-up. Yes.
It's a cover-up.
No, they did delete a vast amount of financial information. That's really a definition of a cover-up.
Isn't that illegal to delete evidence?
Yes.
Shred documents?
It is. It's certainly illegal to delete accounting records that that Congress would certainly want to know where the congressionally appropriated funds are going from taxpayers.
I'm just going to leave this here, and you let me know what you think about it.
How can I get by on one house? I need 5 houses.
I own 3 residences. Yeah, I do.
I need jet planes to take me all over the world.
Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United? That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that.
Sorry, the American people. We've got the money. We've got the power.
Guess what? I'm a United States.
This is most definitely a classic right here.
No, you came voluntarily. Did I ask you to come? No, don't shout at me. I'm defending fascism. No, I'm exposing you as a fascist. See, the problem is, sometimes you get speakers like me who are not scared of people like you. Ultimately, you are afraid of ideas. You're not willing to engage with me. Yes, you're afraid of ideas. You're not afraid of fascists. You think I pose a threat to you? I'm an immigrant. I came to America with nothing. What threat do I pose to you?
You promoted dangerous, violent ideas that kill millions of people.
I propose dangerous, violent ideas that kill people? Who have I killed?
And you look at capitalism.
Do you realize that Hitler's deadly opponent was capitalism? The fascist ideology is one that is distinctly on the left. And the idea that the fascists are right-wing because they support racial superiority? Wait a minute. The guy who showed the Ku Klux Klan movie in the White House was Woodrow Wilson, a progressive Democrat. So progressivism was married to racism at the hip. So don't pretend it was a right-wing phenomenon. It wasn't.
This liberal mistakenly admits that they tried to stop Trump, and Scott Jennings instantly catches it.
I think Democrats are learning, and I'm going to agree with you, that Democrats cannot only be the party of resistance. We cannot, we resisted so hard between 2017 and 2024. We impeached the guy. We prosecuted him, convicted him of 34 felony counts, and guess what? He still got elected. So I don't know how much harder we can resist now.
Are you admitting that that the case against Trump in New York was part of the organized Democratic Party resistance?
It was a Democratic prosecutor, and at the time, I said I thought it was unwise.
Just to be clear, everybody who now touts the 34 felonies, take it from Liz. This was not a real case. This was a plot to upend the presidential campaign.
So Trump was right once again. And now they're admitting it live on air. Interesting.
Trump was right. I mean, he did make a fortune from China, and Joe Biden was wrong. 4 million in income in 2017 and 2.2 million in income in 2018, most of which came from Chinese or Ukrainian interests. But this directly goes against what Joe Biden said in the debate in 2020 with Donald Trump. Take a listen.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China?
Once you
None
became
of that
vice president,
is true.
he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true.
So it's from 2 different debates, but I mean, Trump was right. I mean, he did make a fortune from China, and Joe Biden was wrong.
Senator Kennedy is absolutely hilarious. And he actually has a point here. Check it out.
And I want to make 2 quick points. Number one, it strikes me as breathtakingly ironic the cynic might say cynical. That the people who are screaming so loudly about President Trump's decision to audit federal spending are the very same people under President Biden who wanted to hire 80,000 new IRS agents with guns to audit the American people. As I've said before, if it weren't for double standards, there wouldn't be any standards at all in this town.
Hey, Charlie.
Yes, sir.
My name is Patrick. I'm a student here. My question to you is, why are you so hypocritical in the way that you look at Trump and Biden? As far as the economy goes, every time he announces a tariff, economy tanks. We saw that twice in March, and then in the most recent one where he announced like the largest or the most tariff percentage.
Do you mean the stock market or the economy?
Everything in general, just like the way
the stock market's back up to even before the tariff announcement.
Yeah, but that's because he took away the tariffs. He took it away because all of his billionaire buddies, more or less. It's true. Elon Musk isn't really on TV anymore because he's lost trillions in Tesla.
He was just in the cabinet meeting last week wearing multiple hats. Did you see that? He said, "I wear many hats."
No, I don't watch the.
Well, then why do you say he's not on
anymore.
TV? You said you know what he's on TV. Don't even. Well, you said he's not on TV anymore. You say you don't watch TV.
I don't. I just see him everywhere. I used to see him everywhere, and then as soon as the tariffs went into effect, he lost trillions in Tesla stock. He stopped showing up. Who is it? Pete Hegseth is a moron.
Hold on. Let's pause at that. Is military recruitment up?
Not sure. Is it?
Yes, it is. Is military morale up?
Not sure.
Are military war games up?
Not sure.
Yes. Is military procurement going in the right direction?
Wait,
so hold on a second. You call Pete Hegseth a moron, yet more people want to join our military, and they're happier fighting in our military with Pete Hegseth as head of Secretary of Defense. So that's really weird. Why is he a moron exactly?
Well, because
you know he served in the U.S. military alongside.
Of course, and I appreciate his service.
Is that how you talk to veterans? You call them morons?
No, I don't. And don't say that I do.
That's what. No, but why is he a moron exactly?
Well, because of the two signal chat leaks.
He did not add the reporter into there.
It doesn't matter. Why is he having
Signal's an approved communication platform done by the Biden administration. Actually, do you use Signal? Do you use WhatsApp? Do you use Telegram?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't really? You don't use any messaging apps?
I just use iMessage.
Okay, that's a messaging app.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's also a secure one as well. But what is the contention here? You said the hypocrisy. So let me now try to get which person is was more capable of talking to the media, Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
Neither. Joe Biden. That's my biggest gripe.
Did you have full faith in Joe Biden's ability to complete sentences?
To a certain extent, I did. And then I didn't. After I realized maybe he is too old to be in office, just like Donald Trump, which he will be the oldest president in office.
Age has nothing to do with it. Brain acuity
now
has
it
a lot.
doesn't. It doesn't now, but when Biden was in office,
No,
it
we
did.
never criticized Biden's age. We criticized his lack of knowing where he is and his dementia.
And then that's my point. You talk about Biden when he was dementiated, like you said.
Yes, and okay. Donald Trump has done multiple hours of freewheeling press conferences a week. Joe Biden wouldn't talk to the press for weeks on end. So, but you say that the hypocrisy, I'm very interested. What do you mean by that? Because actually, Joe Biden told us the southern border was an impossible problem to solve and needed Congress to solve. The southern border is so secure right now, we have a 99.99% reduction in all border crossings. And
that's just a fear factor. It's
a fact, actually.
Well, because when Trump is saying that he's going to deport every single immigrant, it makes immigrants not want to come in.
Good for Trump. That's amazing. And by the way, don't call them immigrants. They're line cutters and border jumpers. Immigrants are people that wait in line and fill out the forms and come here correctly. Don't conflate the two. Don't conflate the two. When you border jump, you're not an immigrant. You're something completely different.
A criminal? Is that what you're going to say?
You're not an equivalent.
An equivalent of what? A human?
One is a criminal. One is a rule follower. One is a lawbreaker. One is someone who waits in line.
So should they not have due process?
Well, it depends. You know that there's 3 ways that people don't have due process in this country?
How?
Because actually, according to the Supreme Court in 2019, if you come across the southern border within 14 days or 100 miles southern border, you could be deported immediately without due process because you're not an American citizen. Supreme Court ruled that. According to the Alien Enemies Act, which President Trump invoked with Kilmar Garcia, there's no due process that is necessary. So, as I have said, you do not need due process for that if you are an illegal alien invader in the interior of this country under those circumstances.
Take it back.
If you're a homeowner...
you say that Biden had a atrocious economy?
Correct. And Trump's been president for like 104 days.
Yeah, and with the tariffs,
gas is down, eggs are down. Actually, let me look at this. Can you look at this chart for me? You see, inflation drops to 2.4% in March, lower than expected. Thank you, President Trump. You see, it was going up right here. This was Joe Biden. You see that? Joe Biden, Trump. Joe Biden,
Do you see
Trump.
him at the bottom?
Do you see Joe Biden, Trump? Do you see that? Joe Biden, Trump. And Trump is all the way on the way down. Joe Biden, Trump. Can you do it with me? Joe Biden, Trump. Joe Biden, Trump. Do you want? I'll sign this for you. Do you want it?
Actually, yeah. Can you?
I will. Yeah.
My buddy, he also doesn't have a brain.
Doesn't have a brain. Okay.
Yeah. It's okay. He's still my friend though. So I just want you.
You got to hold it up for the camera.
If.
There you go. Inflation is down, everybody.
All right. I just want you, if at the end of Trump's presidency, and he overall it's a failure, will you admit that it was a failure?
I mean, yeah.
The tariffs are a failure. You can admit that.
Hold on a second. But first of all, what you consider to be a failure, I consider a roaring success. I think border secure is very good.
I'm not talking about border.
Hold on.
I'm talking
I think
about
manufacturing
tariffs.
jobs coming up is very good. Like, yes, if some things don't go well, I will be honest about it. But even right now, we're not agreeing on success or failure. You're saying Trump is failing, and yet inflation is going down. We're bringing jobs back to the country. We had a better jobs report than anybody expected last week. The stock market has fully recovered. We're about to get no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. So all of those things will work, and you're going to see the opening of the American economy unlike anything ever before. I believe we'll see an end of the Russian-Ukrainian war. I believe we're finally going to see no men and female sports, no chemical castration of kids. And he's already delivered on all those promises.
Well,
let me ask you.
I hope.
You were a big Biden supporter, right?
Not really. I mean, he was just well, actually, when Kamala was on the ticket, I'd rather vote for her than Trump, so I voted for her.
Fine. Hold on. Okay. So, but I mean, you're bashing on Trump. What was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's biggest accomplishment? What was the one that really got you excited?
The Chips and Science Act.
Oh, the Chips and Science Act.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else?
And nobody even knows what the Chips and Science Act is.
No, I know what it is.
I know, but I'm not talking about them. Obviously, you know this is your job. But all I'm saying is when Biden left office, the inflation rate was at 2.4%, right? Yeah, 2.4% as you showed me. At the very end of his presidency, and when Trump announced his tariffs, both times it rose inflation to a staggering rate. Eventually, on the last round of tariffs, before the most recent one, when he, I'm blanking.
We got to get to the next question.
All right, well,
final thing is this. Are you cheering for Trump's success?
I'm cheering for America's success, and I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing
Good.
it.
We can agree on that. We both want to see America succeed. Thank you, men. God bless you.
Share this one with everybody you know. America needs to hear this.
Today on how is Canadian healthcare, I need an MRI to see if I have a brain tumor. And go ahead, guess when it is. Go ahead, guess. It's in 2026. 2026. My MRI to see if I have a brain tumor is in 2026. It's March 2025 right now. And if you thought this was bad, it's actually worse than you thought, because the appointment where we decided that I need this MRI was in December of last year. So it's not like it's 10 months from now, it's 13 months. It's a 13-month wait to see if I have a brain tumor. At first, I just thought this was a mistake because having an MRI every year is like a monitoring timeline. Like, I already have an MRI every year for my spine tumor, which is why we think maybe I have a brain tumor too. So I was like, okay, they just made a mistake and scheduled this on a monitoring timeline. But no, I called and the clinic was like, yeah, the doctor actually requested that you have it earlier, but this is the next spot we have. We're seeing about 13 months for these brain and spine MRIs. Cool. Canada, where healthcare is free, but only if you can afford to wait.
So then when I saw him at David's house, it's pretty incredible. It's a larger-than-life figure, and he's extemporaneous. He talks for an hour and a half. He's going all over the place. He's doing the weave, It's incredible.
And he's hilarious, too.
He's very funny.
Yes.
Which is really hard to be, actually.
Yes.
And so I walked away thinking, wow, I had got it totally wrong. And I was lied to. And I believed at a very superficial level what the mainstream media was saying. And then I did even more research. I read the lawsuits, and it was just the amount of contortion that people were going through to try to prevent this man from getting into power made me want him to be in power even more.
Yes.
Because I thought they're afraid of something. That's something they're not going to say out loud, but that is the thing that we need to exercise from the U.S. government.
Yes.
That thing that they want to protect.
Nicely put. That's right. It's not even now clear exactly. It's disclosure.
Well, and
of some kind.
No, I totally agree. By the way, Donald Trump should declassify all JFK, RFK, Malcolm X, MLK, and 9/11 documents on day one. Do we agree?
Can I just ask you a question? Because sometimes it's more revealing to flip things, do the photographic negative of something, the reverse of it. What would be the justification for keeping those documents secret?
JFK?
9/11 was 23 years ago. Like, why can't I see it? I lived here then. I know someone who died. Like, no, I don't have a right to see that? Why?
I totally agree. The 9/11 excuse, they say, well, people are still alive that know stuff. That's all a bunch of nonsense.
Well, I'm still alive and I want to know. No, I paid for it. I live here. I'm a citizen. What?
No, of course. Sorry, I just love it.
Oh, sorry. It just enrages me.
We're going to get to the point, by the way, where we're going to be so disconnected from the JFK assassination, it will be like the Lincoln assassination. It'll be like 170 years, and they'll say, no, we have to keep it declassified. Let's just talk about JFK. It's so obvious why they're keeping that declassified. Because at the very least, the government knew it was going to happen, and at the probable, the government was involved in the assassination of JFK. And therefore, this is important. Because therefore, it is an introductory radicalization event. And they know that. An introductory radicalization event is what all of you had during COVID, which is where you start to then go down a sequence of questions, and once you begin, there's no stopping you. Wait a second, they just told us to wear masks when I shower. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Wait, it's not safe and effective?
Like, wait, my aunt's on her 11th booster and she has COVID more than I do. That's weird. And so an introductory radicalizing event is when all of a sudden, basically the inner question asker within you is liberated. You guys all know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And at that moment, you're the most dangerous you could possibly be to tyranny and to an illegitimate regime. And JFK assuredly has elements of that. That if we get to the facts, again, we don't know, but we can speculate. We know that Lee Harvey Oswald didn't act alone. We know that there's some very suspicious stuff, the motorcade slowing down, what happened to JFK's head, what happened to the grassy knoll, why Zapruder got it on film, head went back to the right. Again, this is not a JFK presentation, but like I can watch.
Let's go, Charlie.
No, I'm just being honest, right? And they're very elementary telling that Lee Harvey Oswald from the Texas School Book Depository, who was a bad shot in his class with a single bolt action rifle, was able to get off that many rounds in a short period of time with pinpoint accuracy, be able to get JFK twice in the head, and then also penetrate the governor of Texas without a second shooter. Yet every witness said, yeah, there was something kind of there on that hill. Like, shut up, we're going to cancel you. Of course something happened there. All of a sudden, if there is a second shooter at the grassy knoll, therefore, the government lied about it, covered it up, was probably involved. Therefore, it asks the question, what else is our government involved in? And it is the beginning of the end of the illegitimacy of this government. And they know that. So they must keep it declassified. But there's only so many of these things they can cover up, because now with the internet, with social media, and the power of programs like Tucker's and our podcast, they're not able to control the corporate media like they were before. And they know that. And thanks to Rumble and Elon Musk buying Twitter and X, we are on the precipice, regardless of what happens in November, of the greatest enlightenment and the greatest eye-opening event in modern American history, where millions of people can finally see the truth, and those of us who are Christians know the truth will set you free.
Amen. Amen. I didn't know any of this. If you'd asked me 20 years, I mean, my dad worked for the government. I lived in DC from the age of 15. I sort of bought into every lie. And yeah. I did wonder what I mean, I'm a hunter and a rifle shooter, and that's one of the crappiest rifles you could ever buy. With like
Butler, we were talking about.
No, the Lee Harvey Oswald rifle.
No, for sure.
Are you joking? With like corrosive primer garbage ammo? Really, that's what he used to? I never believed that part of it. But leaving that aside, I wonder if by continuing to lie, they aren't about everything. They're driving all of us a little crazy.
Well, this is why your faith is the most important thing. Because for those of us that are Christians, it doesn't drive you crazy. You actually see what's going on, which is that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and darkness and spirits, that there's a spiritual war here. And you're right, Tucker. I find people in this space that are not anchored to faith, anchored to Jesus, they do lose their mind. Because there is no rational or reasonable explanation for what the country is doing to itself or what we are experiencing. But if you then see and you know that there is a God and we are not him, that there is an entire dimension of angels and demons and spirits that are constantly struggling around us, and that there is a supernatural dimension, as you mentioned, all of a sudden, that does then make sense. It does not make any rational sense to shut down your schools so you could sacrifice the kids so the elderly can live. That makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no sense whatsoever to keep your marijuana dispensaries open and your alcohol shops open, but the church non-essential. Only a demonic enterprise would do such a thing. Only a demonic enterprise would say that Easter and Pentecost are non-essential, but race rioting and burning down a Wendy's is essential activity. And Tucker, you talk about this a lot. For those of us that know the truth, we know that our God is a God of order and distinction. What is the first thing that God did? In the Hebrew scriptures it says, well, and also our scripture in the original Genesis, Bereshit, which is in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and then he separated and he made sense, he made order out of chaos. Our God is a God of order, and order only comes with distinctions, and distinctions are necessary. Think about all the distinctions that God set up in the first 6 books of Genesis that are currently under attack. The distinction between male and female. The distinction between man and nature. The distinction between the holy and the profane. The distinction between good and evil. The distinction between infant and adult. These distinctions have always been what Western civilization were built upon. But it is Satan's goal to blur and eventually destroy those distinctions, because those distinctions of which we get order, and if you do not have that order, then you have the closest thing to satanic chaos here. Here in our country.
Man, it's amazing to me personally to hear you say that and to nod in vehement agreement with every word that you said, considering I think I was the most secular person on planet Earth just like 10 years ago, and I've arrived at exactly those conclusions, I think inductively, but also instinctively. What you said is true. That is true what you just said.